Hello everyone, I'm Vaishnavi from class 7th and today I'm going to tell you a chapter which is Understanding the Earth. And now we are not going to meet like the face to face only, but we are also going to see the PPT in this class. So let's take a look at the PPT and how we have performed the PPT for you to understand the things for this chapter. So as you all know, like yesterday was the environment day, so happy belated environment day to you all. Also to the environment, I have said yesterday itself, but to you all, I wish a very happy belated environment day. So, on the basis of environment only, I have brought this chapter, which is the Understanding the Earth, and it is also in my book, which is on page number 105, and it's starting of the geography. So, let's take a look at the PPT and understand that what's in that PPT. In this PPT, what we have learned. So in this PPT, actually, we have to take a look at what are the types and what are the various kinds of the things in our surroundings. So, hello everyone, this is the PPT. Let's take a look at it inside the curtains. So, inside the curtains, we have brought a many things which are actually the big idea of this chapter. The big idea of this chapter is to understand the structure of the earth, crust of the earth, mantle, and core of the earth. Now we will learn them about briefly at a glance look also and in the further chapter. Let's take a look at what we will look next in this chapter. We will look at igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks. Also, we will learn about the rock cycle and we will learn about rocks and minerals in this chapter. So let's get started with the first thing, which is who is the newsmaker of this chapter. Norman L. Bowen is considered as one of the pioneers in the field of experimental petrology. And what is petrology? Petrology is actually that when the scientific study of rocks is done by some human being or some person, it is known as the petrology. He is actually particularly known as conducting studies related to the origin of igneous rocks. So, if in the question it is asked that who is who is the actually the conducting studies related to the origin of igneous rocks, so he is Norman L. Bowen. So we have looked that who is the newsmaker. We have looked the big idea of this chapter, and we have also taken the look that what is the name of this chapter. So now what we are going to do? Now we are going to take a glance look at this chapter. So the glance look tells us that the earth is divided into three concentric layers. Now these three concentric layers are the crust, mantle, and the core. The solid outermost layer of the earth, composed with some different types of rocks and minerals in it, is known as crust. We can also say that on crust, we all human beings survive. Now, what is mantle? Mantle is the second layer of the earth, and we will learn further about it in the next chapter. Not in the next, but in the further coming minutes. Okay. Now, what is the core? Actually, core is the innermost layer of the earth, which is actually known as core. Now, we have learned the core, we have learned the mantle, we have learned the crust. Now, we are going to learn that what are the types of rocks. Now, these types of rocks are actually come from the crust part. Crust, why crust? Because crust is only containing many types of rocks, minerals, etc. that come in the like on the earth's crust. So, the earth's crust contains variety of rocks and minerals. Yes, and also it contains rocks formed by cooling, solidification, and hot lava or magma, which are actually called the igneous rocks. Now, what are igneous rocks? Igneous rocks are formed by cooling and solidification of hot lava and magma. Fragments of rocks carried by running water, wind, and moving ice get decomposed in layers or get sediments actually settle down to make some layers. So that is only called sedimentary rock. Now, if we take a look at metamorphic rocks, this is very easy. When existing igneous and sedimentary rocks change their chemical and physical positions and due to intense heat, pressure, and because of that reasons, it actually converts itself into metamorphic rocks. So we have to look at what are metamorphic rocks. Let's take a further look what's in this chapter. If you take a glance look over this chapter, so we have looked at what are these things, and yes, we have learned that what are the cores and mantles. If you take a further look, let's see what's in the upper. Now, if we see that what we have learned in the previous class, look, also we have learned in the previous classes that what are the 4-5 billion years old. When our Earth was actually 4-5 billion years old only, various gases, dust, particles in the space cooled down eventually to form the structure of the Earth. Now, how did Earth form? The Earth formed when some of the particles in the space actually cooled and sedimented itself into eventually due to the less heat of the sun and many kinds of pressure reasons, many kinds of reasons, it actually comprised to make a planet which is now on which we actually live. So this is the our mother Earth. Since the time of its origin, the Earth is continuously experiencing changes, actually on both the outside of its surface and also in the inside of its surface. Now, inside of its surface, as we take a look at an apple, like when we eat an apple, so we have different types of like seeds inside it. They are very inside. Then we have some pulp outside it, like flesh, we can say flesh. And so we have this type of juicy thing, which is actually the apple's juice. And then we have the outer crust of the apple. So like that only, earth also have its crust. Like this, if I draw a earth, so this is can be known as crust. Then the other inside layer would be known as the mantle. This is the mantle, and then this is the crust, and these are the two cores that we will learn further. These are the two cores. Okay, so like that only the earth has different types of parts of it. Now, if we look a further look, the both inside and outside surface are the changes that were having in the before time of the earth when it was making and when it was evolving with each other. So it is therefore actually called a dynamic planet. Why dynamic planet? I have told you why it was called the dynamic planet. Now, if we took a further look over this chapter, we see that geology is the science which deals with the study of structure of the earth. Now, as we learn geography and we also learn geology, let me like geology. Okay, we learn geology. Like, what is geology? Over here, geology is explained. Like, geology is the science which deals with the study of structures. Like, if we have now, everyone might be thinking that Earth is actually round. So, Earth is actually not round. Oh, actually, I have also made not a round Earth. Let me make a round Earth now. Okay, Earth is actually not round. It is very different from round. Actually, it's not round, we can say. It is actually um, like this. And it is not round. Why it is not round? Because there are some mountains, top hills, there are some plateaus which are actually look like this, and there are some plains which actually look like this. So why is Earth not round? It is not round because of these mountains, because of these plateaus. Yeah, like these types of steps, things are plateaus, and then because of planes also it is not round. So what is the earth called? The earth is not called sphere, it is not called circle, it is not called any type of like circular shape, but it is actually called the geode. Now it is known as geode. Now, who has given the name geode to it? Because this is the round surface and earth looks somehow like this. Hope you can see my picture. And this is, if we see this round surface, this is actually a circle, we can say. And if we see this type of image, or if we see this type of, yeah, if we see this, the outer surface of this circle, this is actually known as geode. Okay, this is actually known as geode. Now, what I want to explain over here. So, as I told you, that geology is something which deals with the structure of the earth. So, why I told you the structure? Because geology takes the place in this chapter. Now, geography actually tells the, we can say, the structure of the earth. Okay, if this is the structure of the earth, we can say, like if any person would say that, oh, no, you are wrong. The earth is in triangular shape. The earth is in donut shape. If one likes to eat donuts, or it would say it was a donut shape. So actually, to prove these things, geology takes place in it. And who deals with these things? Geology. And experts experts actually called geologists to study the information of the structure of the interior of the earth. Okay, so actually all these things are actually held by geology, and geology is actually like we study a subject in our class, like this is the class over here. Okay, this is the blackboard. If we study a subject like A, B, C, okay, like we are in class one. So, suppose we are in class one, and now we are sitting over table chair, and then we are just listening to ma'am and understanding that what is she saying. Okay, so as we have the interior of our room, interior of our classes, we have different types of looks for our classes. We have our blackboard, we have pins for the blackboard to make it beautiful, and we have different types of drawings of the kids that make a class more impressive and beautiful. Like that only, Earth also has some plants, trees, etc., rivers, and mountain regions that make the Earth beautiful. And now, to study these things, geology is made. Actually, this is a very like sensitive point, and it can come in exam that what is geology. That's why I am explaining you it in brief. Now, we have to understand that geology is a type of subject, and subject. Now, this subject is actually learned by the people who are geologists. Okay, so geologists actually study these subjects. Geologist over here it is written. So geologists actually study these subjects and the information about the Earth's interior and exterior also. Now we have understood that what is geology, who are geologists, and what is the surface of the Earth called, what is dynamic planet, why it is called. So we have learned a lot of points, and this was only one paragraph. Yeah, you see that how easy it is to learn. Yes, so if we learn the structure of the earth, it would take us not 100 or billion years, it would take just 2 or 3 minutes to learn, and it is very interesting and easy topic. Yes, and actually environment day was yesterday, so it might seem interesting who make drawings, and who might seem interesting in some types of geography. So that is why it is very interesting. Let's take a look forward now. Now, if we cut an onion, there's a very interesting example over here. Like if you cut an onion, you will notice that it has some layers inside it. Now, when you cut an onion, now hope you observe that you cry when you cut an onion. Now, I don't have the answer right now for that question, that why do I have uh, we can say the why do we cry during cutting the onions? I don't have the answer for that on now, but it is because of amino acid, that is sulfuride, and because of that, now leaving that topic, coming to this topic now, it is like if you cut an onion, you will notice that it has many layers. There are one inside and another. Similarly, the earth is also divided into three concentric layers. Now, what is concentric? Many people would be like understanding that what is concentric. It is not to concentrate over one thing like that. Okay, it is concentric actually means to denote circles and that have the same center, and actually the larger one often completely surrounds the smaller one. Now, if you have seen a, we can say onion, like this onion has layers, circles like that and that and so on. It has like a very huge type of onion. Yes, so it is very like unusual to understand the how what is layers of the onion called, but it is very easy to understand what are the layers of the earth called. So it is actually divided into concentric layers. Concentric layers, concentric means to denote circle, as I told. Okay, so it is pretty easy topic. If we will learn in fun, we could learn it. Taking the other color to understand that what is crust, mantle, and core. Now, if we understand that what is crust, crust is actually something when we have the solid outermost layer of the earth. Now, as you have seen the egg, this is egg. Oh, I didn't make an oval. Okay, so if we have an egg like that, it's an oval. Yes, if we make an egg like that, so there would be an outer layer of the egg, and inside it there would be yolk. We have the outermost layer, which is actually the crust of it. So like that only earth also had its crust, which is actually has a lot of things, and continental crust and sire like that. We have things, let's learn them also, that what are they. So, as you know, the Earth is composed with rocks and minerals over its crust, and it is extremely thin layer over the Earth's mantle core. It is very extremely actually thin layer on which we live, and its average thickness is only 8 kilometer to 50 kilometer. So this is the important point to learn, that how much like thickness does the earth have. So it has the 8 kilometer, 50 kilometer. So crust comprises two distinctive layers. So the two distinctive layers are the uppermost continental layer, or we can call it Sial. Sial is actually like Sial. Now why is that? Because we have Sial is actually made of silica and aluminium. Now it is, we can say that it is rich in these things. So upper continental is rich in these Sial. Okay, and it actually thickens the Earth's crust till 50 kilometer, and it consists of lighter rocks rich in silica, alumina, or we can know it as aluminium. So this is silica and this is the aluminium. This is Al. Okay, so this is the science. Now, if we learn more further, it is one more layer we have, which is lower oceanic crust, or we can name it as SEMA. Now, I'm not talking about your friend who is living in the neighborhood. She is SEMA. So I am talking about the lower oceanic crust, which is actually also known as SEMA. Okay, now it is a continuous layer. Why it is continuous layer? Because it has many types of layers inside it also. Like now you might have listened about the rocks, like bedrock, and then we have the uppermost layer, and we learn it in science, and we have these types of things. So this SEMA contains all these types of things, continuous layers, it contains that. And it may range from few meters, which are till 10 kilometer in thickness. Now the main minerals found in the this SEMA is actually why this name is SEMA given to it. So as we can see, C is one name, and MA means Ma is one name. Okay, silica is, as we denoted over here, Si is silica, Si over here, it is also silica. And if we take Ma, it is magnesium. Now, if we make a word like silica, and silica is fine with it, and if we take Mg, in science you might have studied the magnesium's, we can say, compound name, so it is Mg. So it could not be read very like very efficiently. So it by that is why we have given a name over here, SEMA, to make it easy to speak and to learn also. Now we have learned that what is crust. Now how small this topic was. Yes, so now we are going to learn that what is mantle. Mantle is the layer which is also known as the mesosphere, is the second layer of the earth. Yes, we know that the mantle or the mesosphere is the second layer of the earth which comes after the crust. So which layer comes after crust? It is one and only the mantle. So mantle comes after the crust. Then we have that it is also known as the mesosphere. Okay, so it is located beneath the crust and its average depth is up to 2,900 kilometers. This is very huge, children, and it is like we can say very. It's not from you can say Jammu Kashmir to Kerala, and we can tell that it is from Jammu Kashmir to Kerala. Like that, we can take an example. So, how huge this is. Yes, so that is why it is so huge because it protects our crust actually. The temperature of this mantle is actually extremes high and it contains molten metal which actually comes from the surface during volcano eruptions by lava magma. Okay, so what how much temperature does the magma have? No, not the magma actually. The mantle layer has high temperature, and it actually has some molten magma which comes from the surface of the surface crust, which comes from the volcanic eruptions happening on our earth's surface at the crust. Now we have learned that what is mantle. Let's study further that what is inside the mantle. Now there is a beautiful diagram given over here and it's very beautiful. I didn't want to draw now over here. This thing that you can see is actually the crust. Now first we will learn first mantle, then we will study about it. After we will learn the core, then we will study this diagram. As it is very beautiful, I cannot leave it. So the mantle is actually divided in the three layers: the mantle, the upper mantle, the middle mantle, and the lower mantle. Now, if someone asks that where is upper mantle located, so upper mantle consists from we can say upper mantle is the uppermost layer, middle mantle is the middlemost layer, and lower mantle is the lowermost layer. So the lithosphere or the outer sphere of the solid rock includes the crust and uppermost layer, which is known as mantle. Solid uppermost layer or the solid part of the mantle is actually little bit cool for the earth. Okay, and these whole these three whole layers are coming in the lithosphere. Okay, so now we have learned that what is mantle. Now let's go and listen that what is core. The core is the innermost layer of the earth and it is also known as core or the barysphere. Now, barysphere actually means that the heavy interior portion of the earth. Now, this portion is very, very heavy, and it actually that is why the name is given the barysphere. Barysphere over here, we can see that the word is given the heavy. We can see the heavy interior portion of the earth. That is why the word barysphere is there. Now, it actually consists in the thickness about 3,500 kilometers in the thickness and goes down to the depth of 6,370 kilometers. Hope that's clear to you all. Let's study the further things about the core. It is actually made up of heavy metals, which are actually nickel and iron. Iron in the Latin word is known as ferrum. That is why we have taken knife. Knife word is there. Now we are not talking about the we can say the knives that we use in the vegetable cutting. We are talking about this thing. So Ni actually means the nickel. Fe means ferrum. Ferrum is the Latin word. Now please remember it that it is the Latin word and this actually means iron. Oh, sorry. Latin word and it means iron. Iron is also an element. Okay, and nickel is also an element. Now, if we have studied this, now let us study further that what is the temperature in the core ranges. What is the temperature of the core? Now, the temperature of the core is 3000 degrees Celsius to 6000 degrees Celsius. Now, that seems to be like clear, and it seems to be clear because it is very, very hot and no one can go there. No one can go there. Okay, and when the temperature increases from 3000 and when the temperature comes to 6000, because of that only volcanic eruptions also take place in that point of time. When it comes very high pressure and the we can say the magma and that types of things going to come out of the surface, come to the surface, that is known as the core things only. Okay, the core do those things to us. Now, let us study this beautiful diagram that I'm waiting for. So, this beautiful diagram contains some mountains, contains some things that are like over here we can see the mountains, over here we can see continent, crust. Now, let's learn first from here. So, this actually tells that this small layer is very thin layer is actually the crust. This is the mantle. We can see this huge layer is mantle, and these tiny two are the inner core and outer core, but they are very dangerous. Don't be underestimate them. Okay, so these are the types of the like we can see the layers of the now, if we say that what is the upper mantle and what is lower mantle, etc., etc., let's learn about them in the picture. So, as we can see, the crust actually increases from the 80 kilometers, 8 kilometers to 50 kilometers till the depth. Okay, we can see till here it consists of 8 kilometers to 50 kilometers. And this thing is mantle which contains three layers inside it, and this mantle is considered as the as containing 100 kilometer to 2900 kilometer from and after the crust. Now if we see that what is why and what is written over here, this is lithosphere. Why it is written over here? Because the uppermost mantle of the earth is actually comprising the crust and the oceanic we can say the oceanic things, the oceanic crust or the sema that we have learned, it actually comprises these things and this form as lithosphere. So lithosphere consists of three layers, you can see, oh sorry, two layers. You can see that it is the crust and the upper mantle, not the lower mantle, not the middle mantle. It is only the upper mantle. Now if we see that what is the upper core and inner core. Upper core and inner core contain these small. So now this is a triangle form. Now, as I told you an example that Earth is a triangle. Now, if anyone wants to ask this to me, I would tell that the if we take a portion of the Earth from the whole sphere or the geode, if we take the portion from them, so the innermost part will form a triangle like that. Okay, that is only what is triangle. Let's study what are the rocks and minerals as we have completed this structure of the earth. Now this was pretty easy and we have learned so fast or I think so late. So let's study the rocks and minerals. The Earth's crust consists of a variety of rocks and minerals that we have learned in the glance look also. And a mineral is naturally occurring from inorganic substances which contain one or more elements which define physical and chemical properties. Okay, so what is mineral? Mineral is naturally occurring from inorganic substances. And why from inorganic substances and like how? So, how it forms? Because most of the elements and more elements actually with definite physical and chemical properties, they occur with each other and form some inorganic material, and then coming towards to the humans that tell that this is a mineral. Okay, so the study of minerals is known as mineralogy. Okay, so the people that I told you that oh go and give this element, not we cannot touch the element, we cannot like feel the element, but they are in our surroundings. Yes. So if we make a chemical property and we mix two, we can mix like chemical properties and physical properties of the elements. So it forms an inorganic substance, and then if we study that inorganic substance, that study of inorganic substance is known as the mineralogy. So we have studied that what is mineralogy. Now let's study further. Quartz, feldspar, mica, and so on are common rock forming minerals. So we have seen the quartz rock. It is so beautiful. Like some people use it in like not the rings actually. It's used for many works. And then we have like the quartz and feldspar. I don't know what is feldspar, but I know the mica. Mica is you actually used in the makeup things, and it comes from our state. Like the most production is actually in India only. Yes, if we take a further look, that rocks and natural masses of mineral material in crust and the earth. Now, the rocks, what are rocks? The rocks are the natural masses of mineral matter in the Earth's crust. Okay, they are actually composed from one or more minerals, include the hard, compact rocks like granite and diamond. Also, the soft or the loose particle rocks, such as the clay, mud, or sand. Okay, these are also some types of rocks. If we study further, so the rocks also have their specialty, which is over here. Okay. Yeah. So we have that rocks can have different colors. They can have different sizes and they can also have different textures. You can see this beautiful Deccan Plateau basalt rock. We can see some sedimentary rocks that come on sediments and sediments forming layers like earth layers like that only. So we can see some beautiful rocks in our surroundings. What we can see in this rock, they have different types of textures, like they are forming some textures like that. Yes. So they have different textures. This color is actually, we can say, gray type, gray and brown mix, and this color is actually so like brilliant. I can say that this is mixed of colors, and it has many types of orange, blue, some types of white, gray, like that. And that is why it is so beautiful, and it has different colors, it has different size. So this much is the size of this rock. And like this is a picture, so I cannot definitely tell that what is the size, and this is some portion of a sedimentary rock that I can tell. And so they have different types of sizes also, and they have different types of textures that I told. Yes. So rocks which contain a particular metallic mineral in the large number of quantities are known as ores. Now what is ores? Ores is containing large, and if a rock is containing large particles of metallic minerals in large quantities in itself is known as ores. Okay. For instance, like we have a bauxite is an ore. So bauxite is actually the ore of aluminium and hematite. Okay. And it is also an ore, like hematite is the name of one rock, and now it has ore of iron. Now, as we saw two rocks, bauxite and hematite. So this can be asked in the questions that name two rocks that actually are the ore of aluminium and iron. So you can name these. These are easy: bauxite and hematite. Now, as we have learned that what are the rocks and minerals, now let's classify the rocks on the basis of igneous, sedimentary, and other bases. See, geologists have classified the rocks. So I told you in the like beginning, we can say that what are the who are the geologists, what do geologists do, what is geology. So I actually told you that. Yes, on that major groups only, we have three major groups of the rocks, which are igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. And they are actually divided on the basis of formation of these rocks, appearance of these rocks, and the kinds of minerals of these rocks from which they are made. And now first let's see that what are the igneous rocks. Over here, igneous rocks, the word igneous is derived from the word ignis. Now, igneous actually means fire, and fire, it refers to rocks formed by cooling and solidification of hot lava and magma. These rocks are formed from different types of, we can say, due to volcanic eruptions or volcanic activities. Since they were first to be formed, they are also referred as the primary rocks. Now, as you have already learned in your like very small classes, like first or second classes, you might have learned that what are the primary colors, secondary colors, and we have tertiary colors. Like that only, we have igneous rocks which are actually formed first on this earth, and when the volcanic eruptions were at the high speed, so these rocks were formed. And these rocks are actually known as primary rocks as they formed at the first. Okay. Now, if we see on what basis, on what origin igneous rocks are classified, so these classification is given below. It is like molten material or magma which reaches the Earth's surface as lava through volcanic vents or fissures, cools and solidifies, forming extrusive and volcanic rocks. When the lava is exposed to the air, it cools rapidly and fine grained crystalline rocks are formed, such as basalt and pumice. Now, you might see your like bigger sister, elder sister, or your mom or dad. They use a type of rock which has some types of holes in it. Now, you have seen those rocks like that. They have small pores in it. So these pores are actually formed, and this molten material, these are formed by very extrusive and volcanic rocks, which is actually known as pumic rock. And for what reason it is used? It is used to clean our, like, it is used for bathing and for cleaning our feet and etc. Pumic rock is used for that. And if we see that why molten material is also used for some other reasons, so molten material or magma is also used to cool and solidify below the Earth's surface. It actually solidifies itself below the Earth's surface to form intrusive. Now, first one was extrusive. This is intrusive or plutonic rocks. First one was the extrusive or volcanic rocks. This one is intrusive for the plutonic rocks. As the molten material within the earth close actually cools down slowly, larger crystals, coarse grained crystalline rocks form. For example, granite and dolerite. Okay. And igneous rocks are usually crystalline in structures as well as hard and compact. Okay. So if you take a look further, they do not allow water to per- percolate through them. So these igneous rocks do not allow water to percolate from them. They are also not fixed in layers. So they do not form layers such as sedimentary rocks. They are not fixed in layers. Now, they are also do not contain remains of plants and animals such as fossils within them. So, fossils, as they contain the types of remains of plants and animals, but igneous rocks don't contain. Okay, so if we see now, let's take a look at the sedimentary rocks. Now, I have taken a color which is actually a little bit matching to the sedimentary rocks. Let's further see that what are sedimentary rocks. The word sedimentary is derived from the Latin word sedimentum. Okay, sedentum, it is come from the sedentum, which is a Latin word. So I had written wrong spelling of Latin before. So Latin is like this. Latin word that I told you was ferrum. Yeah, I know it was ferrum. On keyboard, my writing is coming ugly. Hmm. Okay, so ferrum is the word for iron, but over here we are studying that sedentum. Sedentum, which actually means to settle down and to form sediments. The sediments is coming from the word sedentum. Okay, let's learn how they are formed. So fragments or the rocks, decayed remains of plants and organisms, such as salts of the chemicals, are carried by running water, wind, and moving ice. Are are deposited actually in the depressions underwater, and because of these pressures, etc., because of that they form sediments, and the word sedimentum that forms to them, and they settle down to form sediment rocks. Over a period of time, these deposited materials or sediments continuously accumulate in layers. They are then compressed and hardened with the aid of cementing materials such as lime. Okay, lime is not that lime you take with your salads or with your juices. That's not the lime, or this is actually the stone, we can say, a material, cementing material. Okay, now to form mechanical, organic, and other types of things. Yes. Now, they are then compressed and hardened with the aid of cementing materials such as lime to form mechanical, organic, and chemical sedimentary rocks. Now, as we have learned that what are the sedimentary rocks, let's take a look further that how they are formed. So, that is why the second group of rocks are actually the sedimentary rocks, because they are formed in the sediments. Okay, and this is the secondary group, we can say, because they form at second time. Sedimentary rocks are softer than igneous rocks. Now, they are softer than igneous rocks, and also their structure is non crystalline, such as rocks at times also contain fossils in them, like the remains of plants and animals they contain, and they can contain some fossils. Okay, also, the sandstone, shale, conglomerate, mudstone, rock salt, limestone, and coal are some examples of sedimentary rocks. Now, I don't think these were some examples, they were many examples, are many examples of sedimentary rocks. So let's take a further look at the third group of the rocks, which are the metamorphic rocks. After that, we will study that what is rock cycle, and then we will study that what are the uses of rocks and minerals to us. Let's first learn that what is metamorphic rock. The metamorphic rock is actually derived from the Greek word, which actually is the metamorphosis. Metamorphosis means to change change of form when existing igneous and sedimentary rocks change their chemical and physical form due to intense heat and pressure. And because of this intense heat and pressure, metamorphic rocks are formed. These processes may take millions of years, but interestingly, all metamorphic rocks make extremely good buildings and construction material. Now, you might have seen your floor, and on the floor you have the wooden filling. Now I'm not talking about the wooden, but I'm talking about the marble. That white thing on your floor is marble, and marble is also rock that is formed because of the pressure and changes between the igneous and the sedimentary rocks. Now, due to some effects of heat and pressure, they are also known as band. They are actually often banded or layered. And metamorphic rocks are usually crystalline in structure, and also perhaps they are the hardest of all rocks. So we can state them that which is the hardest and which is the softest. So the metamorphic is the hardest of all rocks, and then comes the igneous rocks, and then comes the sedimentary rock. They are rarely have pores, and thus they do not allow water to percolate from them. So there are two rocks that do not allow the water to percolate from them, which are actually the igneous rocks and the metamorphic rocks. They also do not allow they also do not have the fossils inside them, such as the plants and animals remainings of them. They do not have. Okay, and though they are formed from these igneous and sedimentary rocks, they were the first and second. So this is the third group of the rocks. This group also actually belongs to the secondary group, as they are from the igneous and sedimentary, but we can say that we have learned it at the third time, as they are formed from the existing igneous and sedimentary rocks. For example, granite changes gneiss, sandstone changes quartzite, limestone changes to marble. Okay, limestone, we have learned that limestone was a sedimentary rock. We have also learned in this that the sandstone was also a sedimentary rock, and then we have the different types of rocks. Now, what is rock cycle? With heating, melting, erosion, deposition, and chemical action, another group of this cyclic formation and developed of three types of rocks are known as the rock cycle. So the study of the different types of uh, the rocks and is done by the geologists like them only. But when these things change by heating, melting, erosion, deposition, and chemical actions on these rocks, so the development takes place in these rocks, and that is only known as the rock cycle. Now, igneous or the primary rocks are formed the first, that we have learned that from the first, that is why they are primary rocks. After being broken down into sediments by natural processes like weathering and erosion, these are deposited and compacted to form sedimentary rocks. After being subjected to great heat and transformed to metamorphic rocks. Okay, so they are subjected and great heat, because of great heat and pressure, they actually change to the metamorphic rocks. Sedimentary rocks may be buried again and melted due to heat to make the interior of the earth and form magma there. Now, metamorphic rocks may be broken down into sediments due to the natural process of the earth, and later forming the sedimentary rocks and then buried again into the magma. Thus, a cyclic relationship exists between the three rock and groups, which is the igneous, sedimentary, and the metamorphic rocks. Now we have learned this whole thing, and the cyclic. If we want to give a explanation that what is rock cycle, so we can get that the cyclic relationship existing between the three rock groups, the entire process is powered by energy of sun and evolving processes both on the surface as well as in the interior of the earth, and due to these pressures, heating, melting, erosion, deposition, and chemical action, these whole things get developed into the rock cycle, and this is only known as the rock cycle. Now this one was big, so if I tell in the short, so the changes or the developments in the rocks by different forms of changes and climate changes in the surroundings, that is only known as rock cycle. Now this was short and crisp, and this was also interesting. Let's take a look at the further. Now let's take a look at what is rock cycle and how does it look like. Now let me take the another color so that it would look like better from now. So take a trip around the rock cycle. So taking a trip to the rock cycle, it would be interesting, and as it is an ongoing and continuous process that occurs over million and million years. In rock cycle, rocks are made, rocks are broken down, and rocks reform also. So the first process is nothing, because all process repeats and repeats. So if we take a look over here at the igneous rocks, we can take it as the first formation of rock. So molten rocks cool either underground. Okay, let's read them. Molten rocks cool either underground or above the ground, and then igneous rocks are formed. Sometimes it gets so hot underground that the rock melts to form magma. Okay, so this is the igneous. Let's take a look at what happens when this igneous rock cools down and crystallizes. So this igneous rock actually then cools down and crystallization happens in this rock, and then it forms a rock like this. Then what happens because of weathering or something types of climate changes, this, we can say, any rock type happens over this. And when these processes happen, because of heat, cold, water, ice, and wind, break down the rock into rock particles or smaller pieces. Then happens this thing. Okay, now we saw this thing. Now let's take a look over the next. Now, erosion of any type of rock. Erosion happens over here in the river, like this rock is now going to the river. Water or wind or ice carries the rock's particles to fluid, plains, or the sea. Okay, so this is a sea, or we can say plain. Okay, over here the rocks are actually sent by in the river by the water, by the weather conditions, by the wind. Okay, then what happens? Deposition and sedimentation of any rock happens when this thing is formed. So when the, because we know that the rocks are very heavy in weight, so they have less density, sorry, they have more density than water, so they settle down at the ground and form the sediments them in themselves. So rock particles are deposited or dropped into the ice or lakes to form some sediments. Then we have this type of rock, which is the metamorphic rock, uh, sedimentary rock. And how does it form? The layers of the sediment are squeezed together and water is forced out. The sediment is compacted and cemented in the rock. Okay, so that is how a sedimentary rock is formed, and how it is formed. It is formed with this processes only. Okay, when the rocks settle down into the lower part of the eye, lake, ocean, etc. And we can see that there are some fossil particles also in the rock. And let's take a look further at what happens next. Now the metamorphism happens in the rocks, and then metamorphism then happens in the rocks. Metamorphic rocks are formed when these forms, the igneous and sedimentary mixed together, they are formed the metamorphic. So we have taken a full tour over that what is a rock cycle. Let's now take a look at the further that how are the rocks and minerals are used to form the earth's surface. Okay, that are formed on the earth's surface, how they are being used to us. Rocks are composed of different minerals which are immense value of humans. And because they are used to make roads and houses, they are used to humans, and they help us to actually make houses, buildings, and many types of human made nature. Okay, rocks are actually used for building material, for example, granite, sandstone, and marble. Minerals such as natural gas, coal, and petroleum, or even fossil fuels, are sources to power our cars, electricity, etc. Besides, the rocks have also made agriculture possible, as soil is formed by the decomposition and degradation of rocks. It actually gives very much of nutritions to the plants also. Now, rocks with minerals content such as ores are usually have in different industries like iron, aluminium, gold, uranium, and so on. Chemicals found in rocks are also used as fertilizers. Many rocks contain fossils which give important insights into the life in the past also. As you can see a picture which is given over here, and this picture has a lizard type thing on it, and this actually helps the historians and the archaeologists to study over this fossil fuel and over this rock to take the evidences from it. As we have learned this, Now let's go to the last thing over this chapter. Now this is very easy exercises, and I have given you the answers of it also, and hopefully we will do it now only. So as let's check that have we completed all these things, and did we actually understood these things. And if you don't understand these things, you can actually write in the comment section. I will tell you in the, you can say, the text form if you want. Okay, that's not necessary if you don't want. Okay, so let's study this now. If you see over here, the earth is divided into three concentric layers: the crust, mantle, and the core. Yes, we have learned this. The solid outermost layer of the earth, composed of rocks and minerals, is known as the crust. Yes, we have understood this also. The mantle or the mesosphere, located beneath the crust, is second layer of the earth. The lithosphere includes the solid crust and the uppermost solid part of the mantle. The innermost layer, the innermost layer of the earth is known as the core or the barosphere. We have learned that why it is known as the barosphere. Okay, hope you remember it. Oops, sorry. So, yes. Now, the rocks are defined as natural mass of mineral matter in the crust of the earth. Okay, we also have learned this. A mineral is naturally occurring inorganic substance which contains one or more elements with definite physical and chemical properties. You can take this as the whole recap of the chapter. Okay, this we can say it is recapitulation of the chapter, and this is only that what we have learned in this whole chapter. Now, on the basis of formation, appearance, and the kind of minerals which constitute them, rocks are classified as igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rock. Okay, so we have learned all these things, and the last point is rock cycle is defined as the cyclic transformation of one kind of rock into another. Yes, we have also learned this. Okay, so we have learned all the points, and we have recapitulated that what we have learned in this chapter. So as this class would now over now, so we have to say bye bye to each other, and you can also recall this MCQ part if you want and answer the questions yourself. I will give you like 2 to 3 seconds. You can just take a screenshot of it. So giving you the time now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now hope you have took the screenshot, and if you don't have, just actually double tap on your screen over the left hand side. You can take again your screenshot. So, as we have completed this whole chapter, now this is the time to say bye-bye to each other. And I would like to thank that if you have seen my video till the end, it would be like really glad to me that you have seen the video. And I actually made the video for learning only, and it would be fun to read your comments if you write. And do like, share, subscribe my video, and don't forget to press the bell icon when you subscribe my channel. Okay, so till then, I am here, and I'm going to help you in everything if you want. Okay, so till then, you have to say bye bye to each other. Stay home, stay safe, and keep learning. Bye.